Hey, how are you all doing? Welcome to the Legal Tea. I'm your host, LaConya Murray, brand attorney and owner of Okurr IP Solutions, where we help clients throughout the United States protect their brand, their content, and their ideas through trademarks, copyright, patents, and contracts. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to take a few minutes to share this one out because it is a really good tea. Like, I'm telling you, it's really good. One, not only because it's giving us real life example, but I get this question all the time. Like, I came up with this word, I don't want anybody to use this word, how can I protect it? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Give us just a second to find, here we go. So what I want you to do is tag somebody, invite this, share this out to someone who's in business and they need to know how to trademark a short phrase or a cute word. You know, we're all coming up with titles for ourselves, all coming up with little short phrases. And you want to know, how can I protect this? And so I'm about to tell you as soon as we go. Boom. All right, there we go. So let's go with it. Okay, so first of all, there's a video someone shared. Shout out to Kamari Ellis for sharing this story with me. He shared it to me in my Instagram DMs. And listen, when you see a story like this, definitely share it and let me know so we can talk about it. So shout out to Kamari for always looking out, and when he sees something, he shares something. You can also email it to podcast@thelegaltea.co and I will get it. All right. So listen, he sent me this video, and it's a video of Cardi being Cardi, just like kind of going off because people were mad at her because she filed a trademark for Okurr. And I know I said that wrong. My daughter just spent like 5 minutes laughing at me, attempting to make the sound. But you know what I'm saying, right? Okurr, you know what I'm saying. She said that while she's here, she's going to secure all the bags and tell people to get them some business so they can secure their bags too. But listen, people were mad because they were trying to figure out how in the world you're going to trademark Okurr. And how in the world are you going to do it when you weren't even the first person to use that word? What about the Kardashians? They were using this first, you know. And I had to look that up because I don't know anything about the Kardashians and what they were doing, but they were using the phrase. So listen, on February 25th of this year, so just like a month ago yesterday, she filed a trademark for Okurr as it goes with clothing. She filed an intent to use application for clothing for that word. And people are just mad, right? So this is how she can do this. Remember, what do trademarks protect? Trademarks protect brand identifiers. And what's a brand identifier? Anybody in the comments, let me know what a brand identifier is. Put a 1 if you don't know what it is. Put a 2 if you want me to share what that is. You know what? I'm going to share it anyway, right? Because I know there's some people who don't know what brand identifiers are. So brand identifiers are those things that indicate the source of a good or a service. Again, the source of a good or a service. Does it indicate the good of a source of a service? Ugh, tongue tied. Y'all hear what I'm trying to say? So when people think about trademarks, they think about names, they think about logos, also slogans. But trademarks also protect things outside of that. They protect smells, colors, shapes, sounds too. They also protect sounds. So it's okay. So as long as somebody, so let's go through like the little test. So you have a trademark, right? If it identifies the source of a good or a service. And then if that good or service is available in interstate commerce, right? Then you're one step closer. And then if that same thing that's identifying those goods or service are also indicating, are also unique, meaning when people see that, they think of you, bam, you got a trademark. Listen, Cardi says every time she goes somewhere and makes an appearance, they want her to say Okurr. And every time she does like a commercial or something, they want her to end it with that same sound, right? That same word. So she's like, yeah, I want to get paid for this. I'm going to do that because now when we think of that, we think of her. She's doing it so much, it's like it's becoming regular. When she's making an appearance, I mean, think about it. Super Bowl, Pepsi had her do that, made a whole big commercial around that, right? And so it's not, this is what I want you to know. So we're going to go back. We're going to talk about So when it comes to trademarking a catchphrase, again, it's not about who does it first, because that's something that Laura Bell Bundy, she learned the hard way. Do y'all know who Laura Bell Bundy is? I didn't know who Laura Bell Bundy is. When they was talking about the Kardashians doing it first, I just kind of did a little Google search on who first came up with this word. And I was reading an article on Refinery 29, and it went back and was just saying how people thought the word was created in the drag community, but really there's a video that circled back in 2010 where this actress, which she was in the original Jumanji, love that movie. She was in Dreamgirls as one of the girls when they appropriated our song, and she's one of the girls that's sitting in the back of the car. She's an actress, and so she came up with this web series, really, or this video, I would call it a video, and it's called I Believe Hair Salon, where she's this character, Show Cantel. So she's a white actress, and she's playing this character, which is really suspect, but she's telling people that they need to get their hair done, and she says, Okurr. Like, she's like, y'all need to check their hair, blah, 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 Okurr. So that was in 2010, right? And so she was the person that said that. She's the person that said that. Now, let me tell you about Miss Bundy. That was in 2010. Miss Bundy didn't file for a trademark application until July of last year, July of 2018. July of 2018 is when she filed her trademark application. But guess what? She received an office action. Remember, office actions are communications from the USPTO office that says, hey, we don't think you should get this trademark. And so she received an office action because they said that the way that she was using it was failure to use as a trademark, or she wasn't using it as a trademark. So because she wasn't using it as a trademark, they're like, you know what, you shouldn't get this application. This application shouldn't be approved. Now, she just received that office action mid-January, so she has 6 months to respond to it. And we'll see how she responds. So, as her proof of using it as a trademark, she submitted that video. But listen. Here's what you need to know about when you're trying to trademark a short phrase. First of all, it's not about who came up with the word. The dictionary is full of words. Apple was a word. Apple didn't come up with the word apple, right? But they began using it in association with a good or a service. So it's not about who came up with the word. That's not what trademarks are based off of. Stop telling people that folks are stealing your IP because you came up with this word, right? Especially if you hadn't done the second thing, which is have that word or short phrase, identify the source of a good or a service. If you are not selling something, and you have this word, it's not associated with something that you're selling, then guess what? It's not a trademark. It's just a few words you came up with. Cut it out, right? If you want to monetize and jump on something, you're going to have to create a service or a good to go with it. And that's something, so think about it. Back in, I don't even know, when was On Fleek popular? Like 2014, 2015? So On Fleek, y'all remember On Fleek for eyebrows? Are my eyebrows on fleek? I don't know, kind of, maybe suspect. I don't know. Anywho, so there's a registered trademark for On Fleek, and guess who owns it? It's a company called the Wink Brow Bar, and they registered in 2015. But they were not the creator of On Fleek. On Fleek was created by Peaches Monroe. That's her stage name or her video persona. Her real name is Kayla Newman. She's the person that came up with On Fleek. That's her. She was the one that created the viral video On Fleek, but she was not the first person to trademark it. As a matter of fact, it's 2019, and she's just now getting to the point where she can trademark. Like, she just registered that trademark. So she didn't file her application until like August of 2015, and then the application was suspended because there were prior applications pending because she waited so long. Other people jumped on it. So she had to wait for those applications to be resolved before she can even move forward with registration. Now, thank God that those were resolved and she's able to move forward. I think it's published. I think she's in the publishing phase of that application. So, and then it's not even for makeup, it's for clothing. So the wing brow, they did theirs for cosmetics, so she couldn't go in that lane. And I guess the easiest thing to do is to go the apparel lane. So that's good. And I don't even know, I have to look again. I think right now she filed a 1B application, meaning she was going to intend to create a clothing line. So I don't even think that she's actually done it yet. So she's still working on that. But the thing number one you need to know about it is that it's not about who came up with the word, because the dictionary is full of words. And two, if it doesn't identify the source of a good or a service, then it's not a trademark. Period, point blank. It's not a trademark. And the third thing that you need to know is that in this situation, when it comes to Cardi B, I want you to know that that sounds can be trademarks too. Sounds can be trademarks too. And the reason I bring that up is because I would love to see Cardi actually trademark the sound, because that's what people are, when we hear that sound, we think of her. The people are bringing her in, they're saying, hey, you're here in this commercial, make the sound. Here, you're here on this set doing an appearance, make the sound. So sounds can be protected, and a lot of people like, oh, she can trademark a sound. Listen, the Pillsbury Doughboy, the little that's a trademark sound. The NBC chime, dun dun dun, that's a trademark sound. The opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange, that's a trademark sound. The lion's roar when you go to the movies, and the MGM movie, that's a trademark sound. When you are building your brand, when you are creating your brand, let's take Cardi B's advice to heart. She's talking about securing all of the bags. Secure all the bags. But you have to secure the bag by securing your brand. And when you're coming up with these brands, what I want you to do is think outside of the box. Think outside of just, oh, I'm going to have a nice name. Think outside of, oh, I'm going to have a great logo. You need to create a better experience for your customers. Outside of just the name and the logo. You can think broader than that. Think of, colors. UPS trademarked their colors. That brown, that's a trademark color. Who else? There's a company that trademarked a smell. Apple trademarked the shape of their product. They also trademarked the layout of their store. So there's so many different things that you can do when you create, especially if you do goods. If you're doing goods, you can trademark your packaging. If you have a unique packaging, you can trademark that package. And so when you're coming up with your brands and trying to figure out how you can make your mark in this market, then you need to think about the whole, how can they experience, how can they touch it, feel it, smell it, how does it sound? You can do all that stuff. Someone says, how much money should you make before you trademark? That's a great question, because for me, it's not about how much money you should make, because if you wait until you make money, then you can risk the chance of someone beating you to the punch. What you need to consider is how much pre-work have you done? Have you done your homework? Do you have a business plan? I don't mean one of those fancy business plans that when you're trying to get a loan. Do you know what problem you're solving? Do you know how you're going to solve this problem? Do you know who your market is and how you're going to make money? Do you have a plan for that? Are you invested in this business, meaning that if you don't make money in 3 months, are you going to be like, oh my gosh, my world has ended and I'm going to quit this business? If you plan on being in it and sticking with it for the long run, and you plan on, and you've done your homework and you know how you're going to make money, and you know that this is a business so things can go left and right, and at the same time, you're like, if someone takes this name, I'm going to be so thrown, right? I'm going to be some people come up with names and different trademarks, and they really don't care, right? But if you're like, this is it, this is my brand, this is my baby, what you want to do is file that trademark. You can file a trademark. So I know that I said that you had to be in commerce, but they have a trademark application that's called an intent to use application. With that intent to use application, which is what Cardi filed an intent to use application because she didn't have the clothing line yet, but she intends to create a clothing line specifically for her. I think she said sweatshirts and hoodies around that Okurr. And don't laugh at me in my Okurr, because I'm trying, I'm struggling, it's whatever. But if you file an intent to use application, what you're saying is, hey, you know what, I'm not using this mark in commerce right now, but I have a bona fide intent to use it in commerce. And so review my application. And what will happen is during the application, they'll do the application just like it was a regular NES application, and then at the end, they will say, okay, this looks good. Now give us proof that you're using this mark in commerce. And so at the end, you will submit your proof. But what that does is it allows you, because when we start businesses, right, we don't just like start a business, come up with a business, and then just like launch the next day. It's a process. It's a process. So what that allows you to do is to go through that launch phase and make sure that you're secure while you're doing that. I want to trademark my name because I found another. Is that possible? So names can be a little more difficult, but is your name associated with a good or a service? Steve Harvey has a trademark for his name. Okurr has a trademark for her name, but they're associated with a service. And then another thing too, they will say that it just depends. It really just depends. But you can trademark names. But I need to do a trademark clearance search to see what type of service you're providing. And if you want more information about bona fide intent to use, I just did a video, I think last week, 2 weeks ago, about Beyonce and Jay-Z trying to register Blue Ivy's name. They're still trying to register her name. I just did a podcast about that, bona fide intent. Definitely check it out. We're on iTunes, thelegaltea.co. thelegaltea.co. So you can definitely check out the podcast on thelegaltea.co. But that was a good question. We had some really good questions. But the bottom line is, Cardi can trademark Okurr as it relates to clothing because she's taking that word and she's just not using it as a cute word or a phrase. She's taking it and she's associating it with a good or a service. If you don't associate it with a good or a service, you cannot do it. Okay? That's what I want you to take away from that. I also want you to know that there's all types of words, but what you also need to know is that when it comes to branding, you can do so much more than just trademark a name or a slogan. Start thinking about sound. Oh, Harlem Globetrotters, they have their dun, 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 dun. That is trademark. There's so many different things that you can use to protect your brand and make you stand out with your customers. Do it. I implore all of you to think beyond names and logos when it comes to building your brand. That's the first thing you want to do. Oh, I need to get my logo designed. First of all, that's not the first thing you have to do when you go into business. Your logo is not the overall thing of your brand. And we can talk about what builds a brand. Maybe that's what I talk about on Friday in my Beyond the Launch group. So I have a Facebook group. It's called Beyond the Launch with Montgomery, and what I do is actually answer questions on Fridays called Murray's Law. Right? Does anybody have any questions as relates to Cardi B and the trademark and why she's able to get the trademark and what the Kardashians have to do with anything? And what's her name? Laura Bundy. So Laura Bundy. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out on that application. But I don't think that it's going to be approved because essentially it's just her using the word in a skit. And so that's not really associating, she's using the word in a skit, but there's no service or good associated with it. So yeah, she's providing a service by creating the video, but the way that she's using the word doesn't tie back to it, if that makes sense. So it's not like that's her. Yeah. So I'll be interested to know where that application goes and if she submits more proof. I don't even know and that's another thing too. Just because she did it back in 2010, right? Just because she created a series of videos back then, and she was using it, and then she stopped. There's no trademark, so now there's no association of goods or services. You have to have something associated with goods or services. That doesn't mean some people have seasonal businesses. Mean that you only come out like maybe in the fall or spring or whatever, or maybe you hold a conference once a year. That doesn't mean that if you have your conference in June, all the rest of the months where you're not using that mark, then the trademark is gone. No, you have an annual conference, and that annual conference is whatever it is, and so that is the trademark being used. Whew. Thank you all for joining me. I know that was a lot of information. And if you haven't subscribed to us on iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other places, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast or to our YouTube channel. If you're watching the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, because this is what we do. When you like the videos, when you share the videos, when you comment on the videos, that lets me know that you are finding this information useful, and it helps me and keeps me motivated to create more content. I like this. I can talk about it all day, but I know that we have other things to do. I appreciate you all